You are now tuned into the sounds of
Big Nate Sports Talk.
It's on all the time, anytime.
You are now tuned in to Big Nate Sports Talk, the show that's on all the time, anytime. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for all content. And now, ladies and gentlemen, your host, Nathan Snell. Bring your sports game with Big Nate Sports Talk.
For that wonderful introduction. Good day, ladies and gentlemen. It is your host, Nathan Snell of Big Nate Sports Talk Podcast. I hope you're all doing well. Hope you're all staying safe. This is episode 11, season 14 of the podcast. And this episode, opening day on us. And before we get into, as already, I have some things that I need to say up front. So, the Maryland Terrapins women's basketball video that we recorded tonight, along with the episode previewing the Final Four with Brendan Potts. The men's as well for Maryland is also the Final Four for the men's as well for the NCAA tournament. The WNBA mock draft 2.0 is being put on hold for a bit because of a couple things. One, there have been some players that have been decided to return another year, and there's still some that have not made their formal decision. The overall pick for this draft class has yet to make her decision of declaring for the draft. So for right now, that episode will be put on hold. But once we have an idea of who's officially declaring for the draft, that video will be out. And that's pretty much all. And then also to the NFL, offseason, being put on hold. We're really trying to get to the NCAA tournament. So once the tournament's over, once we get to the championship, once we do all that stuff, we will get right back into football as well as the NFL draft, NBA mock draft as well. So be tuned in for those episodes. But it is opening day 2023, which felt like a hot minute. First and foremost, I would like to start off by saying I'm happy that the minor league has a don't agree with it because I'm glad to see the minor leaguers finally getting something for their what they're doing this year. But again, this is just a step forward in the right direction. Because to me, the CBA is that you're representing the players. So this is their first collective bargaining agreement ever. It's going to be for 5 years. It's also going to at least have 2 more times of pay at all levels of the minors. So I'm glad that happened, because some of the stories that we were hearing last year and over the years before, I'm really glad that the players decided to all come together and practically and say, no, we need some change. And that's where you hold your players association, you hold the owners accountable. But I'm happy that came about. When you look at this season, we're coming off a great World Baseball Classic matchup. Japan was the eventual winner. Great talent. Um, I think this year, with the rule changes, some of them I'm not a fan of. I think this arguably is the year of surprises. We've seen some teams that were not as successful make some noises. We're seeing teams going to rebuild. Um, I really, really think we could really see some teams surprise some people. And I'm going to start with the AL East. Let's keep it real. We all know New York is the best division, is the best team in the AL East. That's no surprise there. I predict they'll win 95 games this year. I don't think they're going to run away with the division. I think the AL East might be the closest because I think the talent overall is there. Yes, you're bringing back Garrett Cole. You signed Carlos Rendon. You have Nestor Cortez. You have is great when they're healthy. They're already dealing with some injuries already. Anthony Volpe is on the opening day roster. I don't think Oswald Perenza made the opening day, but I know Anthony did. So they're going to definitely make an impact this year. I think the biggest thing for me, if you're the Yankees, it's staying healthy. I think that's key. Aaron Judge to me is arguably the best player. I actually have him as an MVP candidate this upcoming season. If you pushed me, I think Garrett Cole can make some noise as a Cy Young Award winner, but I'm just simply not right now saying that the aliens are going to be a runaway. Yes, I still think they're the team that can make some noise. I'm not sold on Toronto right now because traded Toscar Hernandez and Lourdes Goriel. Yes, they did get Dalton Fashano. You got Kevin Kiermaier. You also signed Brandon Belt. You've made it clear that you're building around Alec Mohana and Jordan Moreno. But the question is, can you maintain that consistency? I'm just not really sold on that. I think they've got a great, they're a stacked team. Your core, George Springer, Matt Chapman, Alejandro Kirk, that's going to be the key. But for me right now, the biggest thing that I see from Tampa, from Toronto, and New York is their pitching. And I think realistically, Toronto, if it's consistent, can win you 90 games and could potentially win, in my opinion. The Tampa Bay Rays, they're beginning to close. Just in terms of things, I really think that they have a good team, and you know how they built their team through the system. They, although on the payroll, they still have Wander Franco, Tyler Glasnow, and those guys. And to see how they maintain that consistency. The sky's the limit for this team, particularly for Wando if he stays healthy. Shane McClanahan and as well as Tyler, they can stay healthy. I know what they're capable of doing. They're the one combos of the rotation. And when you look at the lineup for Tampa Bay, nobody in the lineup extra feet. I mean, and also I really have concerns about their pitch depth. But there is a lot of upside that I think you should look at for Tampa. I still think Tampa will win 85, 88 games. Um, I think they can be competitive, but it all depends on the health. And I'm really curious to see how their depth will be tested in that moment. And then finally, the Baltimore Orioles. Uh, you've made some. You had your technically your first winning season since 2016. Um, I don't see them uh, in any of a bad position of probably 75, 80 wins tops. You have a core. Um, Now you've made it clear that Adley Rutschman and Gunnar Henderson, that's they those are your young core, and then it's obviously built around Cedric Mullins, Anthony Sontander, and Brian Mountcastle. Um, my only concern is the pitching. Jeans not make the opening day roster, and I understand that he did have a shaky spring training. He's not ready yet. I don't want to rush him actually. Um, Coming off an injury so significant, where they were smart to just say, not ready yet. And you signed Kyle Gibson, who's to me replacing Jordan Lyles. You brought back Michael Givens after trading him to Colorado. So for me, I really think that you've made some decent moves to stay competitive, in my opinion. The biggest question for me is just guys staying healthy. I don't expect this team to make any trades right now, but once again, Grayson, DL, John Means healthy. I'm really curious this team can go. I just don't see right now the Orioles lack a number two, a true number two starter, and there's really no ace. We could probably John Means because of the ace. He's injured, so give Grayson some time. I'd say before the All-Star. I say after the All-Star break, he's on the major league roster, in my personal opinion. And then lastly, is Boston. Boston, I still think will be competitive. I don't have them winning no more than 75, 74 games. You no longer have Xander Bogaerts, who to me was the big piece, other than Rafael Devers. He's gone now to San Diego. Xander. The biggest eyesore last year was their pitching staff. You're getting a healthy Chris Sale back. You're getting Corey Kluber. You signed Corey Kluber, who I think will bring some stability rotation. And you brought on Masazaka Yoshida. I think everyone's expecting him to have a good year. And you also signed Alberto Mondesi. The last time he's actually played like over 100 games is back in 2019. And he's never played no more than 102 in a season. So he stays healthy. And then also too, Trevor Story, I think having a long-term injury, I think that also hurts them. So I really think that Boston, I feel like they're going to finish last. I could be wrong, but I don't think any team right now, I think the American League East will remain competitive. I think it's not going to be Boston could win 70. Let's move. This is probably going to be the most interesting one. I have the Guardians winning the AL Central. I think the key for me is their rotation. For me, I look at you have the core. You're getting a healthy Shane Bieber back. Cal Contrell. I can't now pronounce his last name right, but if their rotation stays healthy, I think they can do those right things. They're led by Terry Francona. who's guided teams in the right direction. You're building around Jose Ramirez, Shane Bieber, uh, Emmanuel Clase. Um, I think that's the key for me. I really am not truly sold on any other team right now. I mean, and let me back up. In terms of what the Guardians bring, um, I think this is the youngest team in the division to make the playoffs. You bringing in Josh Bell, Mike Zunino, that would bring some veteranship and that would really bring some power to the lineup, in my personal opinion. We all know Jose Ramirez is an MVP candidate. I actually predict him to finish in the top 5 this year. Um, you're getting, they just gave Andres Jimenez an extension. So they got some young guys and some young up and comers as well. So I'm looking to see how they're going to get them in there. But um, the way that they were in the playoffs last year, um, you know, I think it was like they had more of a contact over power approach, and their pitching staff that was key from getting in the playoffs. And I think they're going to surprise some people. I predicted that the Guardians will win 97 games this year. Minnesota. This was a team back in 2019 that won 101 games, and then 2021 a division, and then 2021 they were last, and then last year they were third. So you practically still have the same like rotation. Sonny Gray, you did get a portable piece and let Pablo Lopez last year. Joe Ryan, Tyler Mayley. I really, it all depends on, for me, the health. Byron Buxton and Carlos Correa. The way how Carlos Correa, this past free agency, that had to be probably the most interesting one I've ever saw. They ended up going back to Minnesota on a 6-year deal. He had a deal with the Giants. That fell through. Then the Mets. That fell through. So everything to me depends on the health of those guys. But they have a youth. They've got some young guys there. Jose Miranda, Royce Lewis, former prospect, Alex Kirilloff, Armando, Julian. That's a good group of young guys that can really help this core be successful. And I really do think that for me with the Twins is it's just staying healthy. And I think they can do that. But games are not won on paper. We got to see what it looks like. And I think when healthy, Byron Buxton is he's an all-star talented player. We know this. And I predict them to win, I'm going to say 86, 85 games tops. Then you have the Chicago White Sox. For me, the Chicago White Sox were very disappointing. Shout out to Nicholas Rosario. He pointed out all the issues that, you finished 11 games behind Cleveland last year. He pointed out the issues. When you look at their rotation, new manager, I think Dylan Cease, Lucas Giolito, Michael Kopech, and Mike Clevenger, that's a well-rounded pitching rotation. Jose Abreu departed for Houston. You still have a lineup that includes Lewis Roberts, Tim Anderson, Johan Makata, Oscar Colas. Might actually surprise some people. I really do. I'm not sold on Chicago in terms of the rotation. I think I look at the numbers. They definitely had a good amount of walks, and that starting lineup, that batting lineup definitely underachieved. If you look at the numbers, and for me, I'm just not sold on them right now. I think they'll win 78, 79 games this year, in my opinion, for the White Sox. The Kansas City Royals. This is actually, I think this is just a rebuild year. They're going forward. I mean, you have to look at their core. Bobby Witt Jr., Vinny Pasquantino, MJ Melendez, Nick Prado. Um, I think that is a promising young core. I believe also to Markel Garcia. I actually predict him to make the roster after All-Star break. Um, I really think that um, other than Brady Singer, um, the rotation and the pitching staff itself is very very um, under underwhelming. There's nobody that really sweeps you off your feet, and on top of that, they re-signed Zach Greinke. I think Zach Greinke can still give you something. He to me is not by default their second best pitcher. Um, I think he can give you you can squeeze about a good 9, 10, maybe 12 wins out of him. Um, Scott Barlow was arguably their best relief pitcher, but he's going into his 30s. So there's not a lot of expectations for Kansas City. Salvador Reyes, I think, is still going to be a respectable hitter. But other than that, I don't really have the Royals making the playoffs. I actually have the Royals winning 70 games, and that's on a rebuild. And I think we all know that was bound to coming after the championship. And again, they have the championship, and they got the window. So they got the core. Let's give them like another 2-3 years. They'll be fine. But for right now, there's nothing to really sneeze at for Kansas City. And then finally, Detroit. This is Miguel Cabrera. He won his last year for them. I still have all the belief that they'll still be a competitive team. I just don't think it was all there yet. Yes, there were some guys that definitely underachieved. Then number one to me, then their number one ace, Casey Mize, went down with Tommy John surgery. Spencer Torkelson and Riley Green. We all know, for me, in my opinion, Spencer to me was the replacement for Miguel Cabrera. Riley Green was supposed to bring some stability in that outfield, and they both overachieved.
I mean, this is some bad stuff. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what I'm going to say. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know how much more of this I can take. I just don't know. This is ridiculous. Oh, Lord.
When I look at the Tigers, I really do think there's a couple things that stand up. These guys are still young, and for me, I really do feel like let's give them some grace. We shouldn't be hitting the panic button on them at all. I still think they can compete. I really do think Matt Manning and Tariq Skubal, to me, show promise as number one, number two pitchers in that rotation. Alex Lang, I think, watching a few of their games last year, I think he could definitely be a good relief pitcher. But this is a rebuild year, and to be fair, I don't really see them doing much this year. Miguel Cabrera will probably most likely his last year out of the contract that he got when he first signed about 10 years ago. So I'm going to say they'll win 68, 69 games realistically. But I definitely think you will see a better version of Riley Green and Spencer for sure. I think you'll definitely see some guys. And also, too, Akil Baddoo, Maryland guy. I think he'll definitely have – I think a lot of people will be surprised with me. I think he'll have a good year. Mark my words. Before we get into the AL West, let's get into the sponsor of the show, and that is Zagnif Apparel Productions. Do you want to dress like your famous, ladies and gentlemen? Then why don't you mosey on down to check out Zagnif Apparel LC, Productions, where you can dress like you're famous. Check them out. Here is Zagnif Apparel.
The following is a presentation of Zagnif Productions, LLC. Introducing Zagnif Apparel. Our comfortable line of leisure wear and athletic wear will have you comfortable and stylish at any occasion. Whether you're at the gym, out shopping, or just relaxing at home. Whether you're an athlete or just want to lay around the house, we've got the perfect outfit for you. Stop by our website today and pick up your favorite pieces. Zagnif Apparel. Dress like you're already famous.
You're famous with a nice, lovely 15% off using my code, Big Nate. Again, please check out Zagnif Apparel, where you can dress like you're famous. Thank you so much for being a sponsor of Big Nate Sports Talk Podcast. Also, if anyone else is interested in being a sponsor of Big Nate Sports Talk Podcast, I will leave my email in the description of my YouTube channel. Let's take a quick 30-second break, and we'll be right back with this song.
Sitting looking back on all the times we shared, when I acted like I just didn't really care, and it wasn't fair. You stood by me, girl, and now was so untrue. This is my promise, girl, I give to only you. Let me be the one you come running to. When you need me, I'll be there, just to let you know that I do care. Girl, I promise I'll always be true. Baby, I promise that I'll be right here for you. No matter the problem, baby, I'll be by your side. 'Cause the love we share can never.
And we are back with the final part of the American League, and that is the AL West. I don't like this division. No, I'm just kidding. The Houston Astros are repeating as our World Series champions. No, I'm just kidding. Let me be serious. I really don't see much happening in the AL West at this moment, other than of a couple things. I think the AL West will be a lot more better. Yes, Seattle did get back into the playoffs last year since 2001. That's when they had Ichiro and Mike Cameron and those guys. Anaheim is, I really don't know what to make of that. They got an owner who I believe who doesn't care about winning. I think needs to sell the team. Texas made some moves. And then there's just Oakland, who I think ownership is, to me, pulling. If you watch the movie Major League, they're pulling that type of move where I think they're secretly just sabotaging the team so they can move, because the city of Oakland won't give them a new stadium. And I think they're just being cheap. And I'm going to be keeping it real. I think the Astros are going to be the only one that comes out of the AL West. The only person I don't think Justin Verlander was a huge loss, but he was a free agent. They still have plenty of depth. Christian Javier, Framber Valdez, and those guys, to me, they got a lot of depth for pitching. Hunter Brown, who I believe is dealing with an injury, but will be back in the rotation. The World Series MVP, Jeremy Pena. You still have a lineup that can rake the ball. Y'all, to me, I think he's going to be MVP candidate this year. Y'all Jordan Alvarez, Kyle Tucker. Then you signed Jesus Abreu. I think could get you about 20, 25 home runs. I do think there are a few flaws that I don't like about their roster, but I really do think that Houston, to me, is the team to win the division. Other than that, I really don't see much happening with them. I think they'll win 99 games this year. Um, Oakland is Oakland. I feel really bad for them. I actually predict them to lose 110 games this year. Um, that's not being I'm not being funny. Um, when you've practically now traded everybody, Sean Murphy, Frankie Montez, Matt Olson, and Chapman. They were traded a while ago, but Sean Murphy was just traded to Atlanta. Um, and I really don't see much. They have the weakest roster on paper, and it just shows. Um, you're really asking, young guys to hold down the fort, and there's really nobody that would really sweep you off your feet. There's Shea Langaris, Kyle Muller, Christian Pache, JJ Boudet. I mean, go see what they'll look like. But I wouldn't be surprised if I see some of their guys come up early. But realistically, I feel really bad for Mark Kadze, former Oakland Athletic. I really believe they set that man up to fail, and I don't think he should be on the hot seat because I mean their teams aren't that good. The same thing with David Bell. I just hate where coaches have to take the brunt of the criticism because you got guys at the top who don't do their job and they don't get held accountable compared to the coaches. So I feel really bad for Mark Kadze. I think he can coach. I think if he had a stable team, I look at Brandon Hyde as an example. That man had nothing to work with until Michael Ice came in and said, okay, this is what we're going to do. And I hate to see him get fired because the team is trash. And that's not fair. That's not fair to him, and that's not fair to the players. For me, I just think that that's not fair. Texas, the Rangers, I actually surprised. I have them winning 88 games this year. They made it to me an improvement with signing Jacob deGrom. Last year, you signed Marcus Semien and Corey Seager. Depending on Jake deGrom's health, Jacob's only had 26 starts the last 2 years. I think he could still prove that he is the best pitcher in baseball when healthy. He's got the arm. And that, to me, he's now their ace. I'm really curious to see how Corey Seager looks this year. I might take some flack for this, but I see Corey Seager not only making the All-Star team, but I see him finishing in the top 10 for MVP. That's my prediction. Josh Jung and Leordi Taveras, I think will be up as well. I definitely think the Texas Rangers will surprise some teams. I think Texas has the team to compete, and don't be surprised. They could actually sneak in and make a wild card. And then, Seattle, of course, you still have the same. You made a couple moves. You got Teoscar Hernandez, Colton Wong, clearly now Julio Rodriguez is your guy. For me, Alejandro Suarez and Cal Riley, those are your guys to me who are the vets, and they can still have some pop in the bat. I believe Jared Klinick and Ty France, they'll be better because they both had second half slumps last year respectively. So I'm not really fazed by them. I think they'll have a good year. I think Seattle win. I have two teams that are making the wild card. But as terms of division, it's going to go to Houston, and then Pacers, Anaheim. It's Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani, and then it's everybody else. Anthony Rendon, let's see what he looks like coming back healthy. I mean, I'm not really expecting much from Anaheim. I think Patrick Sandoval and Reed, the teamers, by default are your number one, number two guys. Tyler Anderson, they signed him by the Dodgers. It's all just about consistency and everyone staying healthy. I think that's the key. But other than that, I don't really have them do much. I think they can, if help. Let me take that back. I think they can make some noise this year. I think they're going to win 85 games. To me, I just think that because it's the Angels, and I think because of the owner, I really don't see them doing much. And then the biggest question for me, because their owner, Art Morel, did not sell the team after he said he was going to. The biggest question I think is going to be on the minds of, is Shohei Ohtani get re-signed? And I think he'll stay, depending. But I feel like when he leaves, I think Mike Trout should also say, I kind of want out. So, but that's the AL East, AL West, excuse me. I think frankly, I think it's going to be a good year. Like I said, my division winners are New York, Cleveland, and Houston. Wild card, I think it'll be Seattle and Texas. That's what I have. So for right now, and that can change. But right now, our final message.
Incoming message.
Thoughts are running through my mind. So I took some time to find a minute or two to organize.
Message, plain as can be. Play ball. I hope that this is a good year. I hope everybody stays healthy. Like I said, this has to be this. I think this is going to be the year of surprises. I definitely some teams making some moves and looking formidable out there, looking respectable. So hats off to these teams. Best of luck. And also too, I cannot wait to see what my Orioles look like this year. There's a lot of optimism in the air. And as far as the Nationals, we'll talk about in the NL preview. That'll be another video up as well. That's it. So be tuned in for episodes of. Thank you so much for tuning in to this. Ladies and gentlemen, you'll see the next episode go up. And you'll see this video go up, and the NL go up, and the Maryland video will go up as well. But until then, please like, comment, subscribe. I will catch you guys on the flip side. Y'all have a good night. Peace. Stay out.
It's Friday night and I hit up the crew. Grab the keys, jump in my ride, cruise the town and can find something new. Hit the club, the DJ's got the dance floor in a groove, and none of that compared to when I turned around and saw you. I can't understand it, girl. How you do the things I'm watching you do. While we're in this club, hey, all I wanna do is dance with you.
I wanna dance with you.
The moment that I saw your face, I knew I wasn't leaving till I got a chance to know you. But I'm still nervous, trying not to lose my cool. So I'm stuck sitting watching you. I don't know what to do. Can't understand. Oh, yeah. How you do the things I'm watching you do.
Thank Thank you for tuning in to Big Nate Sports Talk. If you enjoyed that episode and you want to see more content, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Bring your sports game on Big Nate Sports Talk. It's on all the time, anytime.
I wanna thank you, yeah. I wanna thank you. Ooh. For all the times you put up with me. Thank you. And you helped me retain my sanity. Thank you. I wanna thank you. And I wanna thank you. All I wanna do is say thank you for everything you do.